Comrades, greetings from the Fire Brigade Union, and I'm sure the debate today will reflect the challenges that we're facing across the movement on the question of the cuts, and they are absolutely horrifying, the prospect of the cuts that we're facing. In the fire service, a small sector of the public services, but thousands of jobs at risk. In the metropolitan areas, which are being particularly hard hit, 40% cuts in government grant over the period, and thousands of jobs at risk. The effect of that will be in our service that when you dial 999, it will take longer for firefighters to get there. Fires will be worse. People's property will be more at risk, and people's lives will be more at risk. Every single one of us in the room could give examples from our own sphere of experience about the impact of the cuts. And this is the point about the debate we need to have. This is a general attack on our movement, a general attack on our class, and we need to organise to fight to resist that as a class. But I don't think we're here to have a rally, and I want to actually express some of my frustrations at where we stand as a movement, because the truth of the matter is that in facing the most serious attack in a generation at least, I think we are woefully ill-prepared to take on that struggle. And you can look at both the, if you like, the official leadership of the movement, or indeed those of us on the left. I think in both respects, we do not currently have the mechanisms, the ideas, the organisation in place to resist the onslaught that is coming. If you look at the official leadership of the movement, of the trade unions or of the Labour Party, I think we lack, in reality, a viable programme that actually, first of all, challenges the whole basis of the cuts. If you reflect on much of the debate in the official movement, it is about that the cuts are too deep and too fast. Well, our starting point in the Fire Brigade Union is that we reject the cuts agenda completely. But then it doesn't improve when we look at those of us, and I include myself, we all have to take some responsibility on the left. Oops, that's serious. What we have is fragmentation, sectarianism, and a failure to address these issues. And one thing that strikes me is we on the left need a bit of a sense of humour sometimes to be able to laugh at ourselves. Hopefully people in the room have. Why is it that the famous scene in The Life of Brian is so funny, 30-odd years after it was made? It is funny because it is true. And I suspect everyone in the room has played a role, and we all have to take some responsibility for this, of whether we're in the Judean People's Front or the People's Front of Judea. And one of my concerns in the face of the onslaught that we are facing is that we are in danger of repeating every single mistake that we've made over the past 30 or 40 years. And I want to throw out a warning. I don't think we can afford to repeat those mistakes. So I think there does have to be a very sharp debate in the Labour movement, with the Labour leadership, with the leadership of the trade union movement, about whether we accept the need for any cuts or whether we reject the cuts agenda completely. I think there has to be a debate with people who wish to stand for elected positions, whether as MPs or as local councillors, about whether there is going to be any difference between when people vote Labour, for example, to compare to voting for the Tories or the Liberals. I remember some of the debates in the 1980s about local government, and there were some very sharp disagreements on the left about the tactics that were followed. But I'll tell you this, at least we had a fight in the 1980s of Labour councils. I see not a peep out of Labour councils in terms of the cuts. The only agenda that I hear is don't cut us, cut them. I attended a delegation of metropolitan fire authorities to see the minister, and I made clear that I had a difference of opinion with them. I supported the lobby for greater resources, but where I differed was precisely on that point, that their argument was don't cut us in the urban areas, cut the counties, cut the shires, cut jobs there, cut services there. That's not something I can accept. to say to our members in one part of the country, we're going to protect your jobs by selling jobs down the road, or to say to communities, we will protect your services by selling the services provided to communities elsewhere. That's, I think, a strategy. Well, it's not a strategy in reality. It is an approach doomed to failure that will allow them to play us off against each other. So we have to start by challenging that. And when we hear Labour councils, as we've heard from Manchester this week, announcing 2,000 job losses, when we hear of Labour councils sending out letters to people over Christmas, warning them that their jobs are under threat, then I think we on the left need to start challenging that, because if people are to vote Labour, it has to make a difference. I then just come on to the question of the various campaigns which have emerged to challenge the cuts. And clearly I understand and support initiatives. My approach for the past 5 years has been to speak on virtually any platform who will give me the opportunity. I want to encourage those socialists, those comrades who are engaged in struggle, in fight. But we do need to rise above the division and the sectarianism that currently exists. And what we can't have anymore is being presented with a fait accompli of people telling us, we have created the campaign, we now want your support and we now want your money. And unfortunately that has happened on a number of occasions already in the campaign against the cuts. It is not an approach that I think can be successful, nor an approach that I think it fits in with the democratic traditions which are required. What we want to build, what we need to build, I believe, is a genuine, viable and democratic mass movement against the cuts. And to be honest, that does not exist at the present time. The Fire Brigade Union is an affiliate and founder member of the Trade Union Coordinating Group, which John convenes, and now consists of 10 unions, in fact, 10 unions. My argument within the TUCG is that I believe that the TUCG, in alliance hopefully with other left unions, should itself discuss the convening of a genuine democratically based conference to discuss the building of a mass movement against the cuts. That debate will take place within the TUCG unions, and that's the line that I will certainly be arguing for. So we face a very, very serious challenge. We need to build a mass movement. We need to build a movement that will involve industrial action, and our members are discussing industrial action at the same time. And there is clearly, among rank and file trade unions, a huge thirst for the idea of coordinated industrial action. We need to discuss what that means. What do we mean by coordinated industrial? Are we talking about a one-day strike here or there, or are we talking about something more serious than that? So there are some very, very serious tactical and strategic discussions that need to be engaged with. And I'll finish on trying to be on a positive note. The truth is that what's inspired me over the past year is how quickly campaigns have sprung up at local level. In virtually every London borough now, there is at least one, unfortunately on some occasions 2 or 3 campaigns emerging, but at least one. In every town and city across the UK now, local trade unionists, local community groups are coming together to organise campaigns against the cuts and holding some very large and successful meetings and rallies and demonstrations against the cuts. So there is going to be struggle. There is going to be struggle. There are going to be fights. There are going to be battles against the agenda that the coalition government has unleashed upon us. We talk on the left about war on the poor. Well, it's a lot wider than that. This is war on the majority. This is war on a majority of people, working people who are being asked to pay the price for this crisis. And we need to build a movement that can unite that majority in campaigns that will involve industrial action, but that will politically challenge the very basis of the cuts agenda that we face. That's the challenge we face. If we don't meet that challenge, then the agenda of this government is to roll back every single of the gains that were made in the post-war period. That's how serious the challenge that we face. I'm sure that the LRC, through thorough discussion, can play an important role in building that movement. Thank you very much.